Hello and welcome back to my channel, Mend with Mare. Okay, you beautiful beings, I am back again and I am here to react to track number 5, which is You're on Your Own, Kid. We all know that track 5 is a very special, important spot on any type of Taylor Swift album. So think about some of the ones in the past. We've got My Tears Ricochet, we have Tolerate It, Dear John, White Horse. I mean, really, really, really important, amazing personal songs usually fall at number 5. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna be reacting to You're on Your Own, Kid. All right, let's go.
Summer went away, still the yearning stays. I play it cool with the best of them. I wait patiently, he's gonna notice me. It's okay, we're the best of friends. Anyway.
She always does this. She tricks me. I hear the beat is up, and so I'm like, oh, this is good. And then you get the dagger. Okay. So summer went away, still the yearning stays. So that makes me think of a summer fling, a summer love. And usually summer loves or summer flings typically only last for the summer and they don't continue on, but she is still yearning for it to continue into, I don't know, fall, fall and beyond. And so she says that she plays it cool with the rest of them. Rest of them makes me think of trying to fit in, like trying to be cool, like be a cool girl, be like all the other ones, when really she's just like hiding how she really feels. And she's just waiting patiently. She's feeling like, okay, he's eventually gonna notice me. And then it's almost like she's like, all right, it's okay. If he doesn't notice me, you know, we're still really good friends. And then it's like the way she says anyways is kind of like, anyways. Like bummed out. I mean, I'd be sad. Let's keep going.
I hear it in your voice. You're smoking with your boys. I touch my phone as it fits your face. I didn't choose this town. I dream of getting out. There's just one who could make me stay all my days.
Oh. Okay. So it sounds like she's wondering what he's doing and they're on the phone. Like they're talking. So they're still, you know, close enough to where they have phone calls with each other, but she's hearing in his voice that he's smoking with his boys. So that insinuates to me like smoking weed. So he's probably high, which means that he might be talking to her, but he's actually very checked out. Know this all too well. She says that she didn't choose this town. She dreams of getting out of the town, but he's the one that could make her stay all of her days. All of her days, she would sacrifice the things that she dreams about for him if he would just give her his attention and commitment, but he's not there. I get the feeling like she's very young here, but you know, we could do this at any age where you really will maybe sacrifice your own dreams or stick around for someone because you care about them so much. And so this really does feel as if it's unrequited love. And that's one of the hardest experiences in life, but we all go through it at some point where you're really into somebody and they're not into you as much. Or maybe they once were and they're not anymore, or I don't know, doesn't feel good.
From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I waited ages to see you there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that you never cared.
Oh my gosh. This makes me think of being a little kid in the sprinkler, like running through it, very carefree summertime, to fireplace ashes. That's usually the dead of winter when everything is dead or in hibernation. This kind of gives me the feeling of the passing of time, like the ebb and flow of life. Sprinkler splashes could be water that's going that then nourishes the ground and makes things grow, and then fireplace ashes is usually when things are kind of burned to the ground. I'm feeling like the ebb and flow of life, but then also it's making me feel a little bit sad for how things change in childhood. And so she's saying that she waited ages to see him there and she's like searching the party. It could be as if she knows him enough to know that he'll be at the party, but she's just not close enough to know when or if he's actually going to show up. And we all know that when we're like looking around the party, like hoping that we see our crush when we're in high school. I do feel like this is like a young time personally. So I'm going to go with that. And also parties are such a place of like where we look around and compare ourselves. ourselves. I mean, we do it tons in our lives, but you know, it gives me that vibe that that's actually what's going on.
You're on your own, kid. You always have been.
Okay, really quickly, you're on your own, kid. You always have been. The sooner you realize this in life, the better off you're going to be. While it's important to have good friends and family and relationships and all of that, the number one relationship that you should have is with yourself. You want to know that you can rely on yourself. You're always going to be there for you, okay? So that's why you always have to foster that relationship. And yes, self-care and self-love, these words are like really overused right now, but I'm okay with them being overused because they're so important that people are finally taking notice of their own needs and how they need to take care of themselves. When you're on an airplane, they instruct you to put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on the person next to you. That's really hard for me because I'm a mom, and sometimes I run myself ragged, and because I put my son's needs before mine, you know, sometimes that's a fault of mine that I am like really, really working on, doing what I need for myself so I can be the best mother possible, and also doing things for myself so I am the best therapist I can be too. Facing that you're on your own doesn't have to be such a negative, scary thing. When you're young and you realize that is kind of scary, the more you get used to that and know that you can rely on yourself and that you must stay true to yourself, truly the better off that you are.
I see the great escape. So long, Daisy May. I picked the petals. He loves me not. Something different bloomed. Writing in my room. I play my songs in the parking lot. I'll run away.
God, it's making me a little emotional. So when she says the great escape, I am thinking of just the great escape is her seeing her way out, like realizing how she gets out of her town. And then also when she says, so long, Daisy May, that two things came to mind for me. The first one was Daisy May is a very sweet name, like Daisy, like being a daisy, which I have a daisy in the palm of my hand. May is like springtime, and it just gives me like a happy-go-lucky type of like everything's okay type of feel to it. So maybe Taylor's saying so long to being Daisy May, so long to trying to put on like everything's perfect and everything's okay. The other thing it makes me think of is there's a comic strip in the newspapers like you'll see on Sundays. There was this one little Abner, I think, then one of the characters' names was Daisy May, and she's very much like a pinup type looking person. She kind of looks like, you know, exaggerated version of Taylor, and she's like blonde Americana type vibe to her. So it could be saying goodbye to her childish ways from like reading, you know, the comic strips on Sundays, or it could be like goodbye to this like cheerful, happy, everything's okay type of Daisy May. Who knows? But when she says that she picked the petals off the daisy, you know, he loves me not, she picked them all the way around and she got to he loves me not. So think about that flower then, you know, it died, it's gone. But what else do flowers do? They can bloom when they're nourished. And so she said something different bloomed, the writing in her room. And she says, I play my songs in the parking lot, I run away. So she's just found her fulfillment in writing and becoming an amazing lyricist. She very literally learned to write her songs in her room. So writing in my room is exactly what she did. She plays her song in the parking lot. So she's trying to share with other people her songs and her vulnerabilities, which would be very different than a Daisy May who's only showing the beautiful, perfect, cheerful side of herself.
From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I called a taxi to take me there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that my dreams aren't rare.
Okay, this is like the changing of time. So I feel like something's changing. It's something that's always been there for her. So she calls a taxi to take her there. That kind of signals to me like she's not old enough to drive. So more than likely, this is her going to Nashville. And so she goes to some like parties in Nashville, and she looks around and she starts comparing herself to these other people who have perceived better bodies than her. So I feel like this is like body image issues that's coming up. So she goes there and she just learns that her dreams aren't rare. In her town, her dream of being a famous singer and songwriter probably was rare, potentially, but yet she finds herself in a party where she isn't necessarily special or doesn't get attention for her abilities or for her dreams because they're just like everybody else's. Because when you go to a place where all these dreamers get together, all these people who want want to become the same thing that you want to, you don't really feel special, and you're comparing yourself against other people because you're essentially in competition with the other people that are at the party who are also trying to become a singer-songwriter just like you. Also, I feel like she's acknowledging the fact that since there are so many other people that have the same dreams as her, that she might have to compete against them. She's also realizing that this means that she can only rely on herself, that it really is up to her. Because if you look around the room and her dreams aren't rare, it's not like somebody's just gonna like give her a helping hand, You're
on your own, kid. You always have been.
So she's looking around the room and she's realizing that, oh no, everybody else's dreams just like mine. No one's gonna give me a helping hand. I'm on my own. I've got to do this by myself. So it's a sense of loneliness it seems like she has, that maybe she's had her whole life since she was little, running through a sprinkler. I don't know.
Sad.
From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I gave my blood, sweat and tears for this. I hosted parties and starved my body like I'd be saved by a perfect kiss.
Okay, saved by a perfect kiss. Oh, God. So she gave her blood, sweat, and tears for this. This means she worked her ASS off. I'm spelling out my cuss word for my mother because she doesn't like when I cuss, and she says that I'm too smart to express myself in that way. So she gave her blood, sweat, and tears. She sacrificed everything for this, thinking that this was going to maybe take the loneliness away. Maybe this was going to make her feel like she fits in. And so she's talking about how she hosted the parties. So that's kind of showing that she's now the one that's established and like gets to host the actual parties. But she starved her body for this. It came at a cost. Like she thought that she had to do these things. She had to look and act like other people in order for her to feel okay. So she did all of this thinking that like once she reached that, once she became that well-respected singer-songwriter, that she'd be saved by a perfect kiss. So she's starving her body in order to feel good enough. I think that this is something that is going through this whole song, is this feeling of loneliness, not fitting in, not feeling like you're good enough. And she's had to sacrifice herself in a lot of ways by starving her body to look like everyone else, even though she finally got to the place where she's established enough to where she should be comfortable, but she's had to sacrifice a lot to get there. And she did this because of this idea or fantasy. I think that she's been sold, and a lot of women have been sold, that when something happens, everything's going to change and you're going to feel good enough now and you're going to feel different. You're going to feel like you fit in and that everything's okay. We've been sold this. I think she's referencing like Disney movies. A lot of times like Sleeping Beauty, like you're woken up with a perfect kiss and then you're alive again and everything's okay and wonderful and beautiful. And I think that a lot of times we're expecting that in life, that somebody's going to come along and save us, and it's just going to be, they're going to waltz in and make everything okay, when that's just not reality. That truthfully all you have is yourself.
The jokes weren't funny, I took the money. My friends from home don't know what to say. I looked around in a blood-soaked gown and I saw something they can't take away.
Whoa. Okay. The jokes weren't funny. And no, they weren't funny. They made fun of her at award shows and all of that, about how she's like a man-eater.
Taylor Swift is crazy.
Don't date her. She's a serial dater. She just uses men. She chews them up and spits them out. I think that if they ever put the teleprompter on her, she probably like just smiled along and didn't say anything, even though it was like really messed up that she's being treated as crazy when they were, the male pop stars probably had a million gazillion different people, but she's a serial dater. You got to stay away from her. You got to hide your kids. You got to hide your boys.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife.
I mean, look, if my son was the same age as Taylor, I would be like, please
date her.
I also think that when she says that she took the money, it's meaning that she was almost maybe complicit in the jokes, because remember in Blank Space, it's about some like crazy woman who gets these guys and uses them, takes them on a wild ride, and then she disposes of them. So I think that she used how they talked about her to her benefit, and she made money off of it, like with Blank Space, even though it still probably hurt her a lot deep down. And when she says that her friends from home don't know what to say, they must have remembered or known a very different Taylor Swift. The people from her hometown probably remember the person who was, happy and shy and didn't date around, didn't have a ton of friends. So now she seems almost like the polar opposite now that she's become famous. So they probably don't know what to say. They're probably like,
what the heck happened?
So I looked around in a blood-soaked gown and I saw something they can't take away. Wow. I think the blood-soaked gown, two things. First thing I think of is she referenced blood, sweat, and tears. That is her working her ASS off. And so it's just like soaked in the blood, like her working and trying and trying and trying to be enough for everyone. It also makes me think of Carrie, which was a horror film. And at one point she's like at the prom and pig's blood like drops all over her. I think it was pig's blood that splattered all over her. I mean, that's a straight up nightmare. Maybe there was a point in time when it was like a nightmare. Blood-soaked gown is also embarrassment, maybe. Someone's trying to shame her or defame her when she's in that prom dress or a gown. That could have been the VMAs incident. That could have been Kanye taking credit for making her famous. Give me a break, Kanye. Seriously, go somewhere. She's worked so hard. She's bleeding. She's worked so hard for this. She's tried and tried and tried to be enough. And then there's something she realizes, like, even when she's supposed to maybe be ashamed, or maybe she's supposed to, or maybe whenever even life felt like a nightmare, she still had her accomplishments. She still was true to herself. And she saw all the things that no one can take away from her. And I totally get that. I remember after I finished my master's, I'm like, if everything just crumbles to the ground, at least I know that no one can take that away from me. Now that's not so important to me anymore. Now what no one can take away from me is my dignity, how I treat myself, how I treat the people around me. As long as I can look at myself in the mirror and see who I am and how I've grown from everything, that's something no one can take away from you. Ever. I think it's really beautiful because while everyone might be focused on her blood-soaked gown, the gown that might have a lot of blemishes on it, I guess she can see her accomplishments, because you know what? It takes blood, sweat, and tears to get where you're going. To really be successful at times, you have to rely on yourself. You have to bet always on yourself. And that's the thing. Wanting to be your best self and to be successful, people are going to throw rocks at you. They just are. It comes with the territory. People might see you when you're down and make fun of you or think that you've failed, or they're embarrassed of you, maybe even with the blood-soaked gown, like this nightmare. It's like, wait. But like, I'm in this place where you can even judge me, like I've put myself out there. I've taken risks in life. And that's what's so important. It's like she took a risk, and even though it came at a cost, she still can see that all of the things that she accomplished. And I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful message.
'Cause there were pages turned with the bridges burned. Everything you lose is a step you take. So make the friendship race. Let's take the moment.
She makes me emotional in a beautiful way. She's talking about life. Every day that goes by, every bridge that's burned, you have to trust. You can't be afraid because certain things that you didn't anticipate are happening. Because truly, if you trust in whatever you believe in, God, the universe, source, sometimes things get burned down that you never thought would. And it's in order to create more space for things that are amazing. This is part of life. So, even if you might be betrayed by a friend in the future or a loved one, go ahead and make those friendship bracelets, which is referencing back to being little. Like, it's okay to do things that maybe were childish or silly. She's like, take a moment to really taste it, what you're in. Don't always be focused on what's next or what's not going right. You want to think about like what's going right now and have no reason to be afraid of it. Easier said than done.
You're on your own, kid. Yeah, you can face this. You're on your own, kid. You always have been.
You are on your own, but this can be like, you can face it. I love it. It's turning something where you could feel really bad that you're on your own, but it's like, no, you've got this. You can face it. I have so much to take away from this song. Like it's a little sad, but there's so much truth in it that it's also encouraging. It's letting you know that, don't be so afraid. Don't let yourself get completely wrecked by some of the losses or some of the perceived negative things that happen to you in life. As long as you are true to yourself and you don't betray yourself and you work hard, people are always going to judge. People will always talk crap about you or things that you try. I mean, that's the thing. If you want to be successful in life, you're going to fail. Like, you have to fail several times, and you have to learn from your mistakes to get where you need to be. I mean, I don't know really anybody who's just handed things. And if they are handed it, they're probably not a good person, because this builds character. Because hard times and rejection, all of these things are character building, and it's about the way you react to it that's more important than the actual act itself. Powerful message to hear, that even if somebody doesn't love you as much as you want them to, or you wish that they would, if people don't respect you in the same way, if you don't have the exact body type that everybody thinks that you should have, you're always going to be critiqued. As long as you are okay and you're true to yourself, so when you lay your head down on your pillow at night, you can actually sleep, that you're not disturbed by the person that you've become or been wrecked by, then you're good. Sometimes you don't have to understand the why, like why things occurred the way that they did. And I understand the search for that. I do it myself. It's just some part of being human. But sometimes you don't need to know the why. Maybe things happened to you and it actually made you grow, and maybe you're better for it, and maybe you have learned a lot from it. And sometimes it truly does give space for beautiful things to grow. I don't know if you all saw it that way. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for the support. Please like and subscribe. Please subscribe. I really, please subscribe. Tell your friends. All right. Be well, be safe. Love you all.